What's up everyone, Minanda here and welcome to my guide to the sim mode in my club. I'll start by saying that when it comes to sim, you have to choose whether to go for a high ranking or for farming GP. I reached the top 20 in a couple of weeks, and when I began to use sim matches to farm GP, I dropped around 10,000 places. Since then I've decided to climb back into the top 100 and it wasn't too difficult. You can see that in 85 matches I only lost 8. So I'm pretty confident that my strategy still works. This guide is divided into two different parts. The first one will focus on winning matches and the second part will focus on GP. But it should be obvious that there is some overlap, as a win gets you more GP than a draw or a loss. I think it's easy to climb up the rankings, even though there is no multiplier for winning 5 matches in a row, and even a single draw will send you back a few dozen places. PES isn't really a simulation game, but if you want to improve your ranking, this is how I did it. I don't think your formation is too important, but I like having 2 strikers and Fisher works fine. I also like to have 2 squads ready to go with completely different players, so that every player starts the match with full stamina. In some matches, the players take ages to do anything. With a manager that favors counterattacks and avoids long balls, you may prevent situations like this one. And with aggressive pressuring as well as frontline pressure, you may be able to get the ball back faster. I do not want my defensive midfielder to go forward, and I don't want my defenders to get caught too high up the pitch, so I use a deep defensive line and I use a counter target if one of my attacking players has low stamina. Make sure you always have good set piece takers, preferably your strikers or midfielders. You don't want a defender to miss a chance and have to run all the way back. And just as in any other kind of match, try to have a team spirit above 95, preferably 99. Most of the matches will end with just 1 or 2 goals. If you take a look at the top players in Sim, their goal scoring stats are pretty similar and I doubt everyone is using the same strats. Besides paying attention to the weekly changes in form, you also want players with good conditioning as well as good stamina. I noticed that a lot of my matches away from home are under rainy or snowy weather, which can deplete stamina faster. Since you're not in control of the players, you also want to make sure your players have good passing and shooting skills, even with their weak foot. Physically strong players can shield the ball when in possession and quickly win it back when out of possession. Speed can help, but see which kind of runs your players like to make. In one-on-one situations, almost every player struggles to get past the opponent. Their inspired traits will affect not only the way they play, but the way their teammates move around them. And as for the comp playing style, some styles like the Trickster or the Long Ranger are pretty much useless, so try to keep this simple. You need to make the most out of your set pieces, which brings me to player skills. Players with the gamesmanship skill will win more fouls, therefore you'll get more free kicks. The fighting spirit skill gives the player a stamina boost when they're running low, and you should always pick a captain with a captaincy skill, which is kinda like a fighting spirit that applies to the whole team. Most passing and shooting skills are helpful, from pinpoint crossing to first time shots. And if you need to make subs, a super sub performs better than a similar player without that skill. Your default MyClub team even has a super sub ready for you. Now for the players I like to have for each position. The most important ones for me are the goalkeeper, center backs and center forwards. A decent defensive midfielder may be needed if your opponent uses an attacking midfielder, and you should have at least one decent playmaker in the midfield. Your goalkeeper should be tall, have good reflexes and preferably the low punch skill. Defensive fullbacks should have good defensive awareness and ball winning, but attacking fullbacks need better passing, stamina and speed stats. Center backs should be tall and physically strong, have good defensive awareness, ball winning and preferably some skills like heading and interception. I prefer a destroyer or a build-up playing style. Your defensive midfielder should be similar to your center backs, but having good passing stats and a man-marking skill is a plus. If you attack through the center, it's important to have good acceleration and offensive awareness, and I like to combine a goal poacher with a fox in a box or a dummy runner. As for skills, the first time shot is the most important one for me, but don't forget others like the chip shot control or the gamesmanship trait. Attacking midfielders should also have good shooting skills or stats, and all players are a good choice. The gamesmanship skill is a plus here, as well as any passing skills. As for the subs, you should have a goalkeeper with very high conditioning, utility players that can play in various positions, and super subs. You can see that my stats when I was inside the top 20 were very similar to the top players. Not too many goals scored or conceded, and there is always room for improvements. Even in cloud matches my main sim squad seems to be doing well. 1 star and 2 stars are usually the most comfortable matches. Above that you risk facing white benchers and teams that are way too strong. Since the only thing that counts towards the team level is the overall rating of the player, paying attention to the essential stats and to player skills might give you the advantage. Of course, you should also keep an eye on your team strength to make sure you don't accidentally get into a higher level, as your players will be leveling up and raising their overall ratings pretty frequently at low levels. The levels you are seeing here are the top for 1 and 2 stars, and the specific number is important, as you'll see next. Now let's see what we have to do to maximize our GP earnings. The best method in my opinion is a combination of 2 different strats. All the important player skills, playing styles and so on still apply, as well as the player's conditioning and weekly form. But since you don't want to use more than 11 players, stamina becomes even more crucial. By the same logic, you don't really need super subs, although it's true that they can be the difference between a draw and a win. You still need to set up 2 formations with completely different players, but this time you should pay more attention to the players and the manager's costs. Fisher works well enough, and many of your default MyClub players are actually pretty decent. After you find 2 squads that you're happy with, you should renew every player's contract up to the limit, which is 99 matches. As they improve, the players' contracts get more expensive, and this way you save more GP. You can use an app such as PES Hub to calculate how much your team will actually cost per match. As an alternative, you can keep using different players that you get from random scouts and then sell them or convert them into XP trainers, but make sure your team spirit is always high. You don't need to win every match, but if you concede more than 3 goals in a couple of matches, or if you lose a few in a row, that's not a very good sign. Maybe a better keeper or a different manager is all it takes to improve your results. As opposed to my strategy to climb up the rankings, you shouldn't be playing 1 or 2 star matches, because there is a team strength multiplier when it comes to the GP you earn. That multiplier is 170 for 1 and 2 stars, 190 for 3 stars, and 220 for 4 and 5 stars, no matter the result. If you really want to maximize your earnings, you should use a team with a team strength of exactly 2300. By doing this, you will face 3 star teams, but you will actually get a 220 multiplier. Just remember to keep an eye on the number, and if you raise above that, just try to switch your subs. It's up to you to decide if it's worth it, or if you'd rather just play at 4 stars. It's obvious that you win more GP if you win matches than if you draw them, but even the top players of the sim ranking usually have win ratios under 70%. Even if you were able to get 7 wins and 3 draws at 1 or 2 stars, this is how much GP you'd win for every 10 matches. If you play at a level that gets you the 220 multiplier, even 2 wins and 8 draws will get you a bit more. And don't forget you are using your cheapest players and managers. You will lose sometimes, but you'll also win matches that you really shouldn't be winning. So even though it's a bit of a lottery, I still think you'll be making more GP this way. The worst case scenario of losing all 10 matches will get you 13,000 GP, and the nearly impossible scenario of winning all 10 will get you 35,000. Now I have to recognize there is another strat for passive GP farming, which basically consists of playing versus com matches at beginner level, alternating between wins and draws, winning 2, drawing 2 and so on. For more details on that, check this video by David Fish, which I'm also linking down in the description. This method results in roughly 17,000 GP for every 10 matches. I think both have their ups and downs. Notice the very last disadvantage. I haven't been mentioning the 3000 GP you get as a first win bonus every day. With sim matches, maybe you won't get a single win if you're unlucky, so I think a good way of doing things is starting with sim matches but playing 2 versus com matches if you aren't able to get the bonus. You can also get it by winning against other people, but we're talking about guaranteed GP farming here. By combining the two, you'll be making about 6,000 including the first win bonus from the 2 versus com matches, and then at the very least 10,000 GP for 8 sim losses. So basically the same as 10 versus com matches. However, if you follow the tips I've shared before, I'm sure you can earn much more than that. That's it for now. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and to subscribe, as that really helps the new channel grow. Let me know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future, and see you next time.